Hello and welcome to a sunny South Wales, the Llandow circuit near Cardiff. For the second part of our Welsh adventure in Club 100, we had the hilly Llandow. We're now on an ex-airfield circuit, so very flat as you can imagine. Gerard Moore is the man to beat in this heavyweight class, but not unbeatable. Our first look at championship leader Gerard Moore, starting in pole position. Remember, qualifying positions for the main final are up for grabs, but also half points for this pre-final. On board in second place on the grid with Chris Brown, Rob Nash, Craig Rankin on row 2, Oliver Knights, Gareth Thomas on row 3, Daniel Taylor, Stuart Osborne, Martin Gurnett and John Watt round out the top 10. Well, Moore's got the whole shot. Brown's tipping in over the top of Nash for second. Craig Rankin's coming through for third. Out of the hook, there's a bit of contact going on, you'd expect it. There's a cone going for a dance. On board with Mark Burrell, there was somebody on the grass and there's a spinner at the back of the field. Now it's been a fairly robust start. Craig Rankin going through to second. The Clarks warned every class today that they wanted to see a good clean opening lap. No loading and a minimal amount of contact. I wonder if this final will be allowed to run. Rankin in second, Chris Brown on his bumper, Nash in fourth and clear. Oliver Knights in fifth, just holding off Daniel Taylor. Oh, and that start has been aborted. The green and yellow flag is being waved from the marshal's post. It's a regrade and a restart. Moore not too impressed. It all happened behind you, Gerard. So here we go again. We've lost 2 laps from the final. It's going to be a 12 lap instead of 14 lap pre-final. Moore controls the pace. He drops the hammer as the Union flag flies. On board with Brown. We're going to try and tip in and get on his bumper again. Rankin goes through to third once again as Nash is demoted to fourth. They're feeding through the hook. It's tight, it's busy, there's people on the grass. I'm not sure if it's any cleaner than the first one, but nobody's gone off yet. On board with Mark Burrell down in the midfield, looking for a way to get onto that inside curb for this first run round McWhirters. Bit of contact, not too sure if Miles Sharman will be too pleased with that, but they're both still running. So here they come, streaming down to the Dell. Martin Gurnett coming through in 5th place ahead of Gareth Thomas. Back on board with Burrell. He's circulating in 15th place. Robert Nash goes defensive to hold off Daniel Taylor for 3rd place. Rankin wants to have a conversation with Peter Crease coming out of Raymond's. On board with Nigel Proctor. That's Gareth Lewis ahead of us. Moore pulling clear up front. Taking with him Chris Brown, although Rob Nash and Daniel Taylor are not that far away. As they go down the Lancaster curve and down to the daunting flat out, or what it was once, flat out run through Chandler's. That looks like Mizzen on the grass. So it's going to be a long pre-A final for Keith Mizzen, having won the pre-B. Oliver Knight hasn't got such a good start this time. He's down behind Mark Burrell. Nash goes through on Chris Brown, but goes in way too deep, way too hot. And he finds himself back in 3rd and on the nose of Daniel Taylor. Knights appears to have picked off Mark Burrell. And that'll be for 15th place. Was that a penalty board I saw for somebody here? As we flashed across start-finish. So Chris Brown under pressure from Nash Taylor. And they're being joined by Martin Gurnett. On board with Nigel Proctor. He's running in 12th place, looking to the inside of Gareth Lewis. Can he get it done? Has he got it done? Yes, he has. Well, Gareth Lewis has gone on the grass, over the concrete, on the exit of McWhirters. Mark Burrell is now closing in on that group, although he has been dropped by Miles Sharman. So not a great start for Burrell, down in 16th. 48, Stuart Osborne under pressure from Peter Crease. Crease looks to the inside. Osborne gives himself just half a cart width, and that's enough to hang on the spot as Rankin tries to go across Goddard's curb to put a move in on Peter Crease. Crazy. It was never going to work and it hasn't. So Chris Brown hanging on to that front row position for the main final ahead of Rob Nash. Nash happy to follow. Dan Taylor takes a look over his shoulder. Martin Gurnett is 3 car lengths away. Gareth Thomas runs in 6th, ahead of John Ward, who started 10th. Stuart Osborne, Peter Crease and Craig Rankin rounds out the top 10 as we come through to finish the first third of this main pre-final. Gerard Moore pulling clear. His lead is now 0.7 of a second as Crease goes once again down the inside of Osborne. He's gone a bit further, he's got the overlap. It hasn't worked and Rankin's got to run inside into the hook and Craig Rankin goes through. And Proctor moves on to Crease's bumper. Is there a move up inside of Surtees? He's having a look. Can't get it done, he's got to be careful, he's got Gareth Lewis on his bumper. So into McWhirters, driven as a double apex. Oh, Rankin was sloppy and wide on the exit of McWhirters and he's lucky to keep that position. Proctor looking for a way past Peter Crease. But it's very narrow going into the dell. Riding the curbs on the exit. Nash going for second. He comes from a long way back and goes a long way in once again. And Nash needs to have a think about that because his move is not working. Rankin goes down the inside of Osborne, runs out wide but keeps the revs up and the position is his. So Craig Rankin moves up to 8th. Miles Sharman has caught up with this group and Mark Burrell has closed in rapidly as well. They're banging wheels. I saw Lewis put somebody on the grass. Burrell trying to go round the outside of Surtees. Oh, and he's nearly on the grass himself. He loses back out to Miles Sharman. And you can hear there's 2 or 3 engines around him. He's got Peter Grant and John Falls, Dill Davis all on his bumper. There's a bit of a traffic jam going on behind Mark Burrell. So sweeping out of the dell into the chicane, Phil Rose comes past John Falls. So Phil Rose making progress from the back of the field with the rest of the pre-B runners. And even Keith Mizzen's back in the pack. Contact warning going out from start-finish. Proctor looking for a way past Peter Crease for 10th place. Down the inside in a Surtees as he got it done. He had to use a bit of curb on the inside. Has he got the spot? Yes, he has. He makes the second apex. And now he can focus on Stuart Osborne. Although Crease might have something to say about that. Gerard Moore moves the tyres slightly to make the dell just easier to drive. No call, no penalty. Nash looks to the inside of Brown once again. On to lap 8 of 12. Down the inside, Proctor from a long way back. Osborne gives him room. Stuart Osborne needs to work on his run through and down to Raymond's because he's looking vulnerable. Brown thrown out wide from Surtees, but closing in on Gerard Moore. He took 3/10 out of him on that last lap. Nash to the inside at Chandler's. Is the crisscross on for Brown? So Nash has found a different place to pass because Raymond's just wasn't working out. Nash a bit sloppy on the exit of the dell. This will give Brown a run down the hairpin. Is Chris Brown going to show Rob Nash how it's done? Looks to the inside. Nash gives him room and that allows him to keep the revs and the momentum up. So he hangs on to second. And Martin Gurnett's got ahead of Daniel Taylor off camera. So Gurnett is up to 4th place. So Moore has pulled clear again. He's got a second's lead on Rob Nash. We're back in the fight behind Oliver Knights in 10th place. Burrell got past Miles Sharman but has lost it again on the exit of the hook. Gareth Lewis down the inside of Peter Crease for 12th. Dill Davis shifting Tom Grant out the way, or was he pushed by Phil Rose? Battles throughout the field, always somebody to race in Club 100, that's for sure. And here's the fight on for second place. Nash, Brown, Gurnett, Taylor. Good corner from Chris Brown. Has to lift going into the hook, so not to run into the back of Rob Nash. The fight for second is by no means over. But Nash pulls out a kart length going down to Surtees. is the move on into McWhirter's. Martin Gurnett moving forward. Gurnett sure to think that the championship is a possibility this year, although Gerard Moore has pace and consistency. So into the Dell. Brown driving a tidy line, pulling out half a kart length on Gurnett on the exit. Daniel Taylor moving closer to Gurnett. Gurnett's not close enough to throw it inside of Brown for third. Bit too much lock, scrubs off a bit of speed. Daniel Taylor now right on his bumper as they go into the hook. So it's Moore, Nash, Brown, Gurnett under pressure. Although I think Brown may have made a mistake. Mark Burrell got a bit too close to Peter Crease, and Dill Davis has got an overlap and a run down to the hook. Burrell going in side by side with Davis, running him out wide, takes the position back, forceful. But side by side, pod to pod, they're still running. And joining them now, coming in behind, is Graham Thomas, looking for a way past Davis. He's going to have to be prepared to turn in over the top on the outside of McWhirter's. Not going to work. He has a look up the inside on the run down of Chandler's. Chris Brown's got an overlap with Rob Nash. They're side by side going into chicane, but Nash hangs on. He's gone narrow in the hairpin. It's not his strongest corner on the circuit, but he's still got a kart length over start finish. The final lap board is hung out. Brown closes in, going into the hook. Nash went in a little deep, halfway through the hook, but he's got good drive off the corner. He's a little bit defensive, conscious of Brown is close behind and not knowing quite where he is. Into McWhirter's, and Brown was up the inside of Nash, and he gets him on the exit. Is this an opportunity for Martin Gurnett to get third? Nash comes straight back at Brown. He's going to go in rather deep. Can he hold it? There's a slight overlap. Is Brown going to have to back off? He's sticking his nose in the side by side, looking to keep it out the tyres. They've all made it through. Gurnett's got to run on Brown for third. Into the chicane, side by side. Daniel Taylor sticks his nose in as well. Gerard Moore's going to have pole position for the final and maximum points from the pre-final. Rob Nash is going to have second. Chris Brown hangs on to third. On to the main A final. Gerard Moore's already extended his 57-point lead in the championship, coming into the event with a win in the pre-A final. He's joined on the front row by Rob Nash. Chris Brown starts on grid 3. Moore's closest championship rival Martin Gurnett starts on grid 4. Daniel Taylor, Graham Thomas on row 3. Jonathan Ward, Craig Rankin, currently third in the championship, starts on grid 8. Behind him, grid 9, Nigel Proctor is 4th in the championship. And Oliver Knight's 5th in the championship, starts on 10th. So there's work to do for his championship rivals. Gerard Moore takes the Union flag and gets the whole shot into turn 1. Gurnett trying to get on his bumper. Contact with Nash. Nash is over the back of Martin Gurnett. On board with Chris Brown. I can hear a very loud exhaust. Oh, and you can see it waving away there. Martin Gurnett's exhaust is off the hanger. Noise restrictions apply. It's also a safety issue. You can hear it making a hell of a racket. Chris Brown going by. Gurnett's going to get a black and orange mechanical flag. And look at this, Graham Thomas is going to take advantage as Chris Brown tries to tell Martin Gurnett there's something up with his exhaust. He's gone through to second place. Oh, well, this is playing into the hands of Gerard Moore. His closest rival is about to be black flagged off the circuit. Oliver Knight's working on the bumper of Craig Rankin, lining him up for the hairpin. Here comes Oliver Knight's down the inside. And through he goes in deep, tries to block, pass in, and loses out, and Rankin goes back through. We're on board here with Nigel Proctor. That's Gareth Lewis ahead of us. He's now moved on to the bumper of Oliver Knight's. Oh, and Martin Gurnett's pulled out of this final. Well, he had to. That's going to put a serious dent into his championship. Chris Brown already moving in on Graham Lewis. Dill Davis goes round the outside of Stuart Osborne for 11th place. Mark Burrell up the inside. It's a busy opening to this main A final. The B final was a bit quiet, but it's all kicking off early here. Down to the Dell they come. Oliver Knight's circulating 6th place ahead of Nigel Proctor. Graham Thomas has made a mistake and Chris Brown is trying to get a run on him for second. Down the inside, is it on? He's coming from a long way back. Chris Brown goes through. Can he get it turned and keep the revs up? It's side by side over start finish. Thomas is, the road's going in his favour into the hook. Thomas back to second. Brown has to get back on his bumper. Can he get a good run down to Surtees? Nigel Proctor in seventh, looking at the bumper of Oliver Knights. And everybody seems to have split into pairs. Craig Rankin's trying to hold off Gareth Lewis for fourth place. The lucky one is Jared Moore. He's 2.7 seconds down the road already. The race for second is on. The race for fourth is on. And John Watt's trying to go inside of Dill Davis into Chandler's. That's a bit brave. So Thomas, can he get this corner right this time? Well, it's better, but Chris Brown is still within a kart length. Down to the hairpin. Thomas goes narrow. Lewis down the inside of Craig Rankin for fourth place. Can he get it turned, or is the crisscross on for Rankin? He's got an overlap, but it's not enough. Contact warning going out to, well, who knows, probably half the field. Oliver Knights is running down this pair. He's right on the bumper of Craig Rankin. Rankin down in fifth. Talking about bumpers, Chris Brown on the bumper of Gareth Thomas. Down to Matt Werner's up the inside. He's gotten through. And the position is his. Virtually a block pass. Gareth Lewis running in fourth, with Rankin close behind. You heard Proctor lift as they went into Chandler's. He was thinking about putting a move in Oliver Knights. Further back in the midfield, Mark Burrell in 11th, Phil Rose, Peter Crease, Stuart Kirk, Tom Grant, they all stream through. John Falls in the red there ahead of Winston Bent out of the pre-B final. Heavy contact, Oliver Knights and Craig Rankin rubbing side pods, and it's worked for Nigel Proctor, who might get an overlap on Knights. Not quite there. So Knights is up to fifth place. Proctor in sixth. Miles Sharman now moves onto the bumper of Craig Rankin with Dill Davis and John Ward circulating in 10th place. So Knights under pressure from Proctor. Proctor unable to get up the inside as Knights drives a canny line through Mac Werters to make sure that move is just not on. Down at Chandler's they go, on board with Mark Burrell in 11th. That's John Ward in the yellow ahead of us. Ward looking to the inside of Dill Davis into the Dell. Tricky manoeuvre to pull off. Burrell will now be trying to line up John Ward for the hairpin, although Ward's pulled out a kart length in the chicane. Not close enough, but Sharman's close enough for Rankin. Down the inside, Rankin tries the crisscross. The road goes in his favour, and the overlap works, so he hangs on to 7th place. Back with Burrell, right on the bumper now of John Ward, in fact too close, and he loses ground out of the hook. Up further forward, Burrell under pressure. That's Phil Rose behind him. Oh, heavy contact, Ward on Davis. Contact with Rankin, oh, and that hurt. Nigel Proctor's trying to find a way past Oliver Knights into Chandler's. He tried that before, it didn't work, it hasn't worked again. Well, it's fairly frantic stuff there. 47 is Stuart Kirk, ahead at the moment of Phil Rose. But Rose, the Gleneagor winner, is a man in a hurry. Jared Moore is the fastest man on the circuit, however, 51.8. He's 4 seconds clear of Chris Brown and Gareth Thomas. Dill Davis now trying to find a way past Craig Rankin, who is struggling in this mid-A final. Doing nothing for his championship. He's now down behind John Wart. Davis looking for a way through. Tapping on the back bumper. Rankin not impressed. Davis goes through anyway. Rankin sure to push his way back through. And Mark Burrell goes with him. Stuart Kirk side by side with Davis. Davis in turn's probably got a serious issue he wants to discuss with Rankin. 3 wide into Chandler's, doesn't work. And Burrell loses out to Phil Rose as well as Davis. Oh, and Mark Burrell's looking to keep that out of the tyres. Heavy contact with Peter Crease. Well, somebody's pulled the pin out of the hand grenade and lobbed it into the back of the main A final. Davis down the inside of Stuart Kirk, and the move is done. Just about contact with Rose on Stuart Kirk. Dill Davis is 10th. Phil Rose is 11th. Stuart Kirk down to 12th. Now will it settle down so we can reset the field? There's your race leader, Jared Moore. He's 4 seconds clear of Chris Brown. who's pulling clear of Gareth Thomas in third. Gareth Lewis is fourth, looking comfortable ahead of Oliver Knights, who's still got the problem of Nigel Proctor in sixth. Miles Sharman, John Waugh, Craig Rankin. Dill Davis rounds out the top 10 for now, but he's got Phil Rose on his bumper, and he's also got Stuart Kirk in close attendance. Mark Burrell has fallen back to 14th and behind Tom Grant in all that shenanigans. As we come round to end lap number 8, Moore's already started lap 9. Burrell turns into Raymond's, now trying to run down Tom Grant. Through the hook they stream, out onto the Bomber Straight and down to Surtees. Knight still under pressure from Nigel Proctor. This fight for 5th place has been going on for most of the race. Paul Crawford picking off David Mulholland at the back of the field. Quiet day for Mulholland. Into the Dell once again with Nigel Proctor trying to nail this corner to get a run on Oliver Knights down at Raymond's, but Knights looks pretty strong in the Dell and down to Raymond's. He'll have to find somewhere else. He's had to think about Chandler's 2 or 3 times. He may yet need to try it again. Phil Rose looks to the inside of Dill Davis for what is 10th place. Doesn't get it done. Stuart Kirk keeps a watching brief, looking to pick up the pieces. Burrell's not making much of an impression on Tom Grant in 13th place, but they are both closing back in on the battle for 10th that starts with Dill Davis. A lot of play on the throttle there, not too smooth, a lot of lock going in to Mac Worders to get it to turn. Doesn't look particularly quick from Matt Burrell today. Davis runs too wide out of Chandler's. Is this the opportunity for Phil Rose? Not quite there. Davis got it covered. And Proctor's closed in again. This time is it on? He's coming down the inside and he's through. Lovely move from Proctor. Is the crisscross on for Oliver Knights? No, it's not. And Miles Sharman is joining in to make that a 3-way dice over 5th place. So another lap goes into the books. Dill Davis is still hanging on ahead of Phil Rose. Rose is going to find a way by or die trying. Proctor in 5th. Knights in 6th. Knights was an instant of putting more lock in, and look, it's opened him up to Miles Sharman, but he can't take advantage. Rose goes through on Davis. Phil Rose into the top 10. Davis trying to come back at him. Was there a bit of contact into Chandler's? Rose has a bounce down the outside of the track. Sawing at the wheel to get it into the Dell, but the move is done. Can Davis come back at him down at the hairpin? Back on board with Burrell. Tom Grant's just about caught up with that group. You can see it's nearly a 4-way dice for 10th. Into the hairpin. Burrell closes up under braking. Can he close in? He's towing with him Stuart Osborne. So Rose in 10th, Davis 11th, Stuart Kirk, Tom Grant is there now. Rose has pulled out a couple of kart lengths, so it's like a 3-way dice over 11th place with Davis. Sharman closing in on Knights, looking for a way by. Knights struggling to get off Mac Wörters for a second lap. Grant trying to urge his kart on to go faster. Knights made a mistake. He bounced on the curb on the exit of Chandler's, and Sharman had half a chance to throw it up the inside into the Dell, but it's tricky, as we've said. So Knights coming down the hairpin. Sharman took over a look over his shoulder to see if he needs to worry about anybody trying to put a pass on him. There's no need. We're on to the penultimate lap. Miles Sharman trying to find a way past Oliver Knights for what is 6th place. Rose under pressure from Davies once again. Stuart Kirk, Tom Grant. Grant looks like he wants to be by. Is Sharman going to try it into Mac Wörters? He gets close. This time Oliver Knights is a bit more tidy. Takes a look. His shadow is still there. Proctor's beginning to run down Gareth Lewis, but I think he's going to run out of laps. This is lap 13 of 14, of course. John Falls trying to go down the inside of Winston Bent for 18th place. Has he got it done? I think he has. Jared Moore moves on to his final lap. It's been a quiet day, but a good job done by Jared Moore. Chris Brown runs in second. He's pulled out just over a second on Gareth Thomas. The top 3 look settled. Lewis in fourth, holding off Nigel Proctor, who's closing him down but running out of time. The rest of the field streamed through the hook. Tom Grant went a bit deep into the second part of the hook and has fallen back from that battle for 11th, which has once again become a battle for 10th as Phil Rose is under pressure from Dill Davis. Has Davis got anything left? Stuart Kirk has followed Dill Davis and Phil Rose for most of this final. Has he got anything special left for the final few corners? The race leader is down at Raymond's. He's coming out of the hairpin. Gerard Moore takes another win and secures his lead in the championship. Chris Brown takes an excellent second ahead of Gareth Thomas and Gareth Lewis. Proctor will have 5th, Oliver Knight's in 6th, Miles Sharman 7th. Some penalties down at the bottom of the top 10 mean that Craig Rankin will have 8th, Phil Rose 9th, John Walk has 10th.
All drivers on the scales, please, and then transponders return to me on the other side of the pit lane by the podium. Thank you very much.
Potentially second lap.
Thanks for your help though, because I didn't look back, I was just like a bit disappointed though.
So please stick around, everybody.